Good morning and welcome to Better Thyself segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. People have a mistaken notion that a person who is vulnerable cannot be manly. This wrong concept of masculinity has been blown out of proportions. And a person who is a gentleman, in the real sense of the word, is considered to be womanish, which is absolutely stupid. Manliness has nothing to do with being vulnerable. As a matter of fact, being vulnerable enables you to have empathy with others and also helps you emerge as a better human being. The old-fashioned view, what it means to be a man, is limiting and even harmful psychologically. So, in mindfulness, men can show up their full selves, themselves, their relationships, their communities. And that is really being a man. When Shakespeare said the elements so mixed in him and nature might stand up and say he is a man, he did not mean boasting, hypocritical attitude that only the physical prowess makes you a better human being. All the elements of the nature, and the most important element of nature, is that every human being is vulnerable in one way or the other. And secondly, vulnerability is something positive. And if you accept your vulnerability, you are at par with the cosmos. You see, once in a while, during a typical hectic day, I've seen the spouse turns wearing a well-astonished smile. How did you have these three boys? Did you know that we had three boys? And the purpose is, like the ringing of generations, a reminder of the most important to be that raising the children is in an era of masculinity is one parent's job. No, it's not. The traditional values, male attributes like toughness, emotional reserve, strength, power, staunch individualism. And this feeds into one's clear-cut role like winner and provider. But today, man is not the winner and provider. As a matter of fact, this version of masculinity, as I said, is limiting and limited. But you would be thinking, what has vulnerability got to do with masculinity? Simple. Men refuse to show that they are vulnerable. Hypocritically, they hide their vulnerability, their weak spots under the cloak of manliness. And many believe that keeping their emotions to themselves, the stiff upper lip, being self-sufficient, and show no vulnerability is inherent to masculinity and essential for success. That's not so. As a matter of fact, defined by our cultural power, we believe in that way. And I've seen people pardoning even the most abusive behavior from men, saying, boys will be boys, as if being boys absolves them from all responsibility of being a decent, civilized human being. It makes them naturally more aggressive, more competitive, less emotional, lacking in empathy, and in need of close relationships. So, what you've got to do is to free yourself. And you can free yourself by engaging in a process. This process excuse me. This process would generate an attitude of openness, willingness, and non-judgmental attitude. So learn to embrace vulnerability. And if you look at it, when you are committed to working as a human being, you understand the pain and the suffering of your co-human beings. As a worker, as a boss, as an employee, as a father, as a husband, as a partner. And I find plenty of opportunities. When you choose to care in the face of old worriness of being a man and wearing the burqa, hijab, then anger and grief would be the result. So how to do that? First thing is choose wholeness, not partners. When you say you're masculine, you're male, you're man, you're choosing yourself a portion of being a human being. So choose wholeness. Wholeness would mean that every human being or everything in the world has a positive capabilities and negative capabilities. And until you recognize all your capabilities, your inherent traits, positive and negative, you cannot be a complete person. You cannot be a whole person. So, if you are part, you would naturally risk censor, you would naturally risk rejection. So if you want to belong, and even if both the strength and the belonging was fragile, built on limiting and untrue nations, then choose with care. Care to ensure that you are a human being and you would have some chinks in your armor. A chinkless armor is not possible. So first is decide within yourself that you are a complete human being. You are not a man. Now, most important is that you have to be jettisoned into a rabbit hole of a denial to come out of this mode of denial that you are at present enveloped in. You are immersed. You deny. I mean, I've seen the Indian and the Pakistani, the South Asian males. Hey, get me this, get me that. They will not even get up to get a glass of water. Washing dishes. Oh, how can I do it? I'm the male, master of the house, and wife is my chattel, my servant. And inside he knows that wife is more capable than he is. But he doesn't show his vulnerability. So that is one aspect. Now, the second aspect of vulnerability is still much more important. When you show your weakness, say in work, you're vulnerable with work, and you tell your colleagues and your bosses, well, this is your weak point, then the others would come to help you. People always help when they know that you need help. But if you don't need help, why should they come to you? And no man, or woman for that matter, is an island to himself or herself. So there should be no shame in getting help for a genuine need. When you show your vulnerability, you are showing yourself as a human being. But vulnerability doesn't mean when you show that you become a hanger-on, a parasite, a sucker. It's in fact a process of unwinding. If you're in an office or you're in a business and you show your vulnerability, neither your employees nor your bosses would be able to understand your real issues. When they see you as a human being, they'll be all out to help you. Same is in the family. I have no hesitation in showing my vulnerability to my close friend, not to everyone. I don't go about bragging that I have this problem and that problem. No. The rabbit hole of keeping a stiff upper lip and not showing only kills your initiatives. Another point, yes, from this is, when you don't show your vulnerability, you might be interested in a task which is much beyond your capability. And then when you fail, it will be a disaster because people have assumed that you are capable and you have shown that you are capable. You have at least not been honest about your incapability. And in hiding your vulnerability, you are harming yourself and harming the organization you work in or the family as a whole. But if you shed your covering, then you are seen as a complete man, a good father, a good mother, a good brother, a good sister, and a good human being. Secondly, when you show your vulnerability, the other people will also show their vulnerability to you. And that will establish a bridge. That bridge connecting bridge, as I call it, would enable you to soothe the other person. A sense of empathy develops when you have something in common. Otherwise, this is pity. You've got to understand the difference between pity and empathy. You've got to understand the difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is bad. Empathy is good. Pity is absolutely killing. Empathy is ennobling. It's like an act of mercy, as Shakespeare says. It blesses who gives and blesses who receives. This keeps you on an even keel. As a matter of fact, empathy and vulnerability, they go hand in hand. If you are not vulnerable, because you have not experienced the sympathy that flows or the empathy that flows from that, you would be lopsided. And the damage inflicted by confined masculinity or effeminacy, the same thing for women as well. So you use the word femininity instead of masculinity, and all is applicable to women. So you have to refine and redefine yourself so that it encompasses your inner struggles, your fears, your loves. We have got to choose to change the story by putting our vulnerability first. I have yet to see a resume where they talk of all the strengths, but nobody talks of the weaknesses. Why? I still remember a guy once came to me when I was CEO, and he was talking all that. Then he asked me one question, what's your weakness? And he said, my weakness is that I want to work alone. I can't work in a team. I appreciated it. So I assigned him only that jobs where he did not have to interact much. But then slowly and steadily, I groomed the person and he became one of the most social beings. And the people understood. This was his inner fear that in case he works in a group, people will recognize his shortfalls and maybe not respect him. And then slowly and steadily, he came to understand that the people who understand your defects, they don't hate you. They rather care for you. So this is healing for you and healing for the others. This process is a double act. It blesses who is working with you and it blesses you. So let evolutionary unwinding take place in your psyche. Let you understand that your vulnerability is in fact a part of your humanity. And you must not let it be a stumbling block. When you show your vulnerability, you are showing your human kindness. And that is what enables you to become a better human being. And then you understand the problem of the other. When you empathize, when you look at it, you understand the other's problem as well. And when you understand each other's problem, what's the result? A better human being. So don't hide your vulnerability under a cloak, a hijab. Don't camouflage it. Be open. And remember, the word is yours. You just have to choose with care. And the sooner you do, the better it will be. Thank you.